Hello, YouTubers. Well, this week I'll be addressing you on some of the interesting changes being made within the Church of England. This week, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, he addressed the British people and the press, the television for instance, and said, "We are going to combat this war upon the poor." Well, what's been happening is these poor people have been taking out loans, and these loans with these payday companies like Wonga.com, what's been happening is they've been paying up to 2,500% on their loans. Well, the Archbishop said we can do better than that. We can do a much better rate and use the Church of England funding. Splendid idea, helping out with the poor. You see, the poor is something that the Church of England has had an interest in since its conception. And now the poor can have interest with the Church. Yes. But what's happened? These nasty companies have been, as I say, exploiting the poor. So, what we thought we would do is lend them at a very small rate, very affordable, very nice, and that would be helping them out, and at the same time a good use of the church funds. Now, it's very difficult to help the poor unless you have funds, and for that reason we've been saving and saving and saving our own funds within the Church of England, several £billion in fact. The exact figure's difficult. Different press interpretations of it. For instance, we have probably a couple of £billion worth of property, but which is probably about $3 billion worth. But in fact, we live in them. Churches, you can't do a lot with them. They're acquisitions that have been made over many centuries. But they're tied up. But we do have a certain amount of finances within other companies. And this has been a way to make money so that we can give it back. And what has happened, unfortunately, this week, to some embarrassment to the poor old Archbishop, is that somebody uncovered the fact that this company, Wonga.com, that does these terrible rates, is in fact one of the companies in which the Church of England puts its money. Yes, in all fairness, nobody actually knew. It seems nobody at all. Nobody knew within the church. It was a fault probably of one of these sort of little financy chaps that they put their money with to invest, and he put his money into Wonga.com. So it's a very, 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 very small amount of money, and I don't think anybody would really consider it a large amount unless you're really poor. Probably no more than, say, a year's salary for a bishop, for instance. Now, the Archbishop, Justin Welby, he actually was an executive, a financial executive within the oil trade, the oil business. And it will come as no surprise that in fact much of the money that is invested by the Church of England is in fact tied up within oil companies. BP, for instance, is one of the companies in which we have rather large funds, £22.4 million in BP oil. I know they weren't very popular a couple of years ago, but I think they've done a clean-up job since, and so that's fine. Shell Oil, we in fact have £38 million invested there. In the UK Treasury, and after all, we are a Church of England, we are a church, a national church, so we have, in the UK Treasury bonds, we do have £460 million. Apparently, allegedly. We also have money within, say, BHP Billiton, another fossil fuel company, 12.3 million there. Rio Tinto, the global resource mining company, we do have 12.1 million there also. But HSBC Bank, now banking, you see, HSBC not done too well lately, but we have been propping them up a little bit with £33 million. What else do we do? Well, Vodafone, what a surprise, £22.1 million invested within Vodafone. Well, here at St Clementia's you can't even get a signal, it's appalling. I have to use O2. I'll have a word with the bishop. But anyway, Unilever, £11 million there. Glaxo, Smith and Kline, 18.2 million there. And of course, we also have separate funds also, like there's £1 billion put by for pension funds for vicars. Which is nice to know really if you're a vicar. However, having looked into the finances of the Church of England, we now know that we're in a position to lend out this cash. And as we're going to lend out this cash, the Bishop has asked me whether I'd come up with any great ideas for an advertising campaign that I can put forward to the Archbishop of Canterbury. It's always been sort of okay in the Church of England, you know, to lend money. Some people will look at the Bible and say, well, hang on, didn't they say in Luke 6:34 to 35, doesn't he report that those who lend should expect nothing in return? Well, the reinterpretation of the Bible, when we became the Protestants in the Church of England, in the John Calvin, he reinterpreted it so that you could lend money, but only at low interest rates. So in fact we're keeping with the tradition of the Church of England. Something which has been brought up, it must say, the Mayor of London for instance said, isn't this like Jesus not turning over the tables of the moneylenders in the temple, but actually setting up a table next to them at a better rate? Well, as I said, that's not the way we interpret it in the Church of England. It would also said in the Bible that it was not right to charge interest to your fellow man, as it were, but to a foreigner you could charge him whatever you blooming well wanted. And we could get round this, of course, theoretically by setting up one of those sort of Indian call centre type jobbies that would take that international barrier away. But I don't think we need to. As I said, using John Calvin and his reinterpretation of the Bible, everything will be fine. Thank you. We're setting up a company that will give loans to the poor at very small rates. And we need some sort of corporate sort of advertising. We'll need a corporate logo. We've all been asked if we put in our Bob's worth, as it were, and if you see next to me here, I shall present. It's not there at the moment because it's a green screen, you know, but it will be now, so it's there now. Yes, you'll see this is the logo I've come up with. Prayday Loans. Prayday Loans, what a fabulous idea. And the Prayday, wonderful. I did come up with it first with this sort of fish type thing, fish, but somebody went and got to my computer and wrote shark in the middle, and I thought, well, that's probably going to happen, isn't it? So I'd go with the first one, Prayday Loans. Now, let's have a look at a few positive things that we could do to advertise this product. Born with debts to pay, then why not pay the Church of England? That's quite fun, isn't it? Using moneylenders, well, it can result in facial injury or walking with a limp. But now, with the help of billions of pounds and the power of God, we can help you with the Church of England. With Prayday Loans. With Prayday Loans, we're not Wonga, we're white. Right. Prayday, a new type of loan that even Jesus might have approved of. Jesus saved, and now it's your turn to share his wealth with Prayday.com. Backed by the Church of England and its many billions. Prayday.com. Backed by the Church of England's many billions of pounds. And remember, it's better to loan money than to launder it like the Vatican Bank. Praying for cash never worked till now. Do you need to feed the 5,000 but do not have a miracle? Well, you have now with the loans from the Church of England. Prayday Loans. We always have interest in giving to the poor. Now the poor can take with interest. Just like Jesus, the church is saved so that we can now lend to you. I thought for advertising this product, we would perhaps give a crucifix with every single loan that we give. This, of course, would show the person as a Christian if they wore it, but not just that, but it would remind them that what happens to people when they upset moneylenders.